requested not to participate in our debate. They mustn't clap hands. They mustn't shout. And so they mustn't howl anyone. They should just enjoy the debate and appreciate it without getting involved in the debate in their house. Thank you very much for that. Can the secretary read the order?
Debate on vote number 35, Transport Appropriation Bill.
Honorable Minister, take the podium. Honorable Mabaso. You can't see the speaker. The speaker is this side.
Honorable Chair, Person of the House, honorable members of Parliament, Cabinet colleagues present, our Deputy Minister of Transport, Honorable Chikunga, members of the Portfolio Committee on Transport, led by Honorable Chairperson, Comrade Dikeleti Magadzi, Acting Director General of the Department, Mr. Mkonyama, officials of the Department of Transport, chairpersons and CEOs of the transport entities, my special guests and other invited guests, ladies and gentlemen and comrades. I dedicate this budget vote to the life of one of the most remarkable leaders this country and this continent and indeed the world has ever known, President Rolihlahla Nelson Mandela, who would have turned 100 years old this year. This year we also honor our mother, Albertina Nontsikelelo Sisulu, who would also have been 100 years this year. In line with Madiba's vision of the realization of a democratic, just and equitable society, our budget vote seeks to confront our challenges and accelerate progress in building a prosperous society. We are also celebrating the bicentenary, Honorable Chairperson, that is 200 years of the birth of that great intellectual and revolutionary, Karl Marx. Today we present this budget as the world is entering the fourth industrial revolution, and we are cognizant both of the opportunities as well as the dangers posed by this era. Therefore, this requires us to define the kind of transport sector we want to see in our country in the next 50 years, guided by our National Transport Master Plan 2050, including the role of transport in national and regional economic development. Transport is also important in promoting township and village economies. We therefore need to develop the capacity to conduct research, innovation, effective oversight and monitoring of our entities through whom most of the work of the department is implemented. We shall also pay particular attention to effective, inclusive, and continuous engagement with all stakeholders in the transport sector. That's why I'm pleased that most of our chairpersons, CEOs, and other board members of our transport entities are here. And you are most welcome. In line with government priorities to fight unemployment, inequality, and poverty, our entities must play a much stronger developmental role in strengthening our economy. I therefore intend to restructure the department to improve capacity for planning, innovation, skills development, as well as improved oversight, monitoring, and support for our entities. And I wish to urge our entities to prioritize local procurement in order to promote jobs, in our economy. To give effect to these priorities, we've started to, amongst others, review the shape, size, structure, and location of our entities. Amongst others, these interventions will help us to solve the many challenges we face in transport, whether it be traffic congestion, road crashes and fatalities, the taxi industry, and the role of transport as the heartbeat of our economy. We will also lead an initiative to mobilize both public and private sector funding to invest in innovation for the transport sector. We will work closely with government departments, including the Department of Science and Technology and Higher Education and Training, state research institutions like the CSIR, the private sector, other institutions of higher learning, and transport stakeholders. We will intensify consultations within SADC and the broader African continent to work towards and strongly position the transport sector as one of the key mechanisms for regional and continental integration. We also intend to establish a Republic of South Africa and People's Republic of China Transport Forum that will be led by the two governments, involving our state-owned entities, research, policy, and higher education institutions, as well as the private sector. This forum will, amongst other things, be a platform to promote investments in our respective transport sectors. Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, governance remains a big challenge for most of our entities, and I'm paying particular attention to this matter. We will continue to intervene decisively to restore good governance and to fight the scourge of state capture. I have met with boards and management of entities, expressing to them my expectations on the kind of professional conduct expected. Board members must be diligent, professional, understand their fiduciary roles, not interfere with day-to-day running of entities, and must fight against corruption and state capture. We are in the final stages, Honorable Chair and honorable members, of appointing boards for AXA, SANRAL, and other entities whose terms have expired and where there are vacancies. We have intensified our effort of stabilizing the Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa, PRASA, by dealing with its capacity challenges, appointing a new board that will lead the turnaround strategy and to attend to the senior management vacancies in the organization. Amongst the areas we've given our urgent attention are challenges facing PRASA generally, but in the Western Cape and Cape Town in particular. We've begun tackling the safety and reliability of Metro Rail in this corridor. Our priority is to provide safe rail travel, especially for the working class. I will convene a series of stakeholder meetings in the coming months, which will include PRASA, the City of Cape Town, trade unions and their shop stewards, municipal councillors, and other political formations. PRASA is currently implementing a signaling program to replace the old signaling system, and the project is near completion. Furthermore, we're at an advanced stage with the construction of the Central Operations Center for the Control of Rail Operations in the entire Western Cape. Construction is expected to be completed by the end of June 2018. Through the center, we'll be able to better manage our service and improve our management and safety of our operations. To address the inadequacy of the rolling stock, we will continue to refurbish our current rolling stock to meet the immediate demand of this corridor. The Cape Town corridor requires about 110 train sets. In the next 24 months, we will operate 88 fully configured train sets, not half trains. However, we are also working on our plans to roll out the new rolling stock, including putting in place enabling infrastructure, such as the depot program, pairway and electrical works, to support the deployment of this new rolling stock. Although I'm concerned at the slow pace of these projects. I have therefore directed the new board of PRASA to pay urgent attention in dealing with these challenges, and I expect a plan within the next 2 months. Honorable members, part of our focus is to ensure that we provide a predictable metro rail service. I'm happy to report that the construction of our train manufacturing factory at Danota in Eguruleni is now complete. And it is anticipated that two new locally produced trains will be delivered in December 2018. As of December 2017, we have created a total of 1,396 jobs. We are also contracted to upskilling 19,527 individuals during the implementation of the program. Although the Railway Safety Regulator Amendment Act and Rail Safety Strategy, through the Railway Safety Regulator Amendment Act and the Rail Safety Strategy, we'll be able to mitigate the risk associated with level crossing occurrences, people struck by train, mainline derailments, and platform train interchange occurrences. Honorable members, we are also revamping our roads policy, which will contain proposals on the funding model of our road network. Through Sandra Horizon 2030 strategy, we have set aside an obligatory 30% subcontracting to SMEs and cooperatives in all projects. In addition, Sandral offers training and skills transfer programs to small enterprises. We have set aside about 3 billion rands to upgrade the Limpopo and Mpumalanga sections of the Muloto Road. An estimated 12,500 jobs will be created over the 5-year period of the project. Within the next 12 months, government will take the final decision regarding the planned rail component of this corridor. This financial year, we will continue to develop our road network to unlock the northern mineral belt in the Waterberg district of Limpopo province, the Durban Free State Gauteng Logistics and Industrial Corridor, the Southeastern Node and Corridor development, including the Mthatha Airport and the N2 Wild Coast, and to unlock the economic opportunities in the Northwest, working with the Presidential Infrastructure Coordinating Commission and Minister of Economic Development, in particular, Minister Patel. Through this Hamba Sonke program, we have maximized job creation in the road sector, using our labor-intensive methods and cooperatives model throughout South Africa. As part of reviewing the Gauteng Freeway Improvement Scheme, we will heighten our consultation with all involved government spheres and non-government stakeholders to arrive at a solution for this perennial problem. These consultations will form a critical path towards the discussion of the Sandral operating model, which includes the new toll roads policy. But the most critical issue as a country that we have to face is how are we going to fund our road infrastructure going forward? That is the most critical question, which we will also be dealing with. I also decided to urgently set up a panel of transport experts to advise us on strengthening the role of all the modes of transport in social and economic development of our country. Honorable members, we have finalized our integrated public transport turnaround plan, which will ensure that we develop a comprehensive public transport development strategy and investment plan across all modes of transport. To reduce the input costs and enhance the sustainability of the mini and midi-bus taxi industry, we will implement a commercially viable revised taxi recapitalization program. The revised program will enable the taxi industry to leverage and exploit downstream opportunities in the entire taxi value chain. We will engage with the taxi industry regarding all matters that are of concern to both government and the industry, including the issue of subsidies for the sector, vehicle financing, taxi violence, as well as building cooperatives supporting the taxi industry. Sizoxoxa babuthayi Bosch, sikhulume nawe nosomatekisi bakithi. Ayikho into esingeke siyixoxe enifuna ukuthi siyikhulume. Ngenhloso yokuthi sikwazi ukuthola ixazululo kuzo zonke inkinga esibhekene nazo kwezamatekisi. Due to the rapid increases in vehicle prices, we are conducting a review of the scrapping allowance with a view of increasing it to enhance levels of affordability for new vehicles. We are delighted also about the approval by this House of the National Land Transport Act Amendment Bill, which will also ensure regulation of electronic hailing services. Honorable Chair and members, the integrated public transport network system across Rea Vaya, Arieng, My City, and Go George carry a combined 125,000 passenger trips on an average weekday. In addition, the cities of Ekurhuleni, eThekwini, Rustenburg, Polokwane, Mbombela, and Nelson Mandela are expected to commence with their operations in this financial year. The issue of public transport subsidy regime remains a challenge. To this end, we have reached an agreement with the MECs, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, that we need a thorough and comprehensive review of the entire regime of transport subsidization in this country, which will include looking at the bus industry, commuter rail, Gautrain, and the BRT systems. We need to determine whether this money is being allocated equitably or we are funding the rich at the expense of the working class and the poor. Through the Shovakalula bicycle program, we procured 6,000 bicycles and distributed them to needy learners in rural district municipalities and schools. Honorable members, the National Road Safety Strategy remains our anchor strategy to further improve our road safety record. We look forward to the administrative adjudication of Road Traffic Offences Amendment Bill, which includes the demerit point system. We are determined to implement this once and for all, which will bring tougher consequences for traffic offenders. Where necessary, we'll take away driver's licenses and even ban some people not to have driver's licenses for some years if they are habitual offenders. Uzwile Mamkaul? The envisaged reclassification of traffic violations to Schedule 5 offenses will ensure that we introduce minimum sentences for extremely serious traffic violations such as excessive speeding, reckless and negligent driving, and driving under the influence of alcohol. Our intention also to harmonize our road traffic law enforcement and the establishment of a single traffic police unit has gained traction. We're also working tirelessly to ensure that we declare law enforcement an essential service to guarantee the availability of traffic officers on a 24/7 basis on our roads. We also intensified our anti-fraud and corruption operations, focusing also on fraudulent driver's licenses and cars that are licensed to be on the road illegally. We are also implementing measures and the transformation of the Road Accident Fund to make it the road accident benefit scheme to ensure that we put to good use the already constrained financial resources allocated to the road accident fund. In line with our ambition to unlock the potential of transport in the region as a crucial component of regional economic integration, our cross-border roads transport agency is working tirelessly to harmonize standards in SADC. Honorable members, I'm happy that in the House today we are joined by 5 beneficiaries from our strategic partnership with the Falls Bay Technical and Vocational and Education and Training College, where we provide skills to people living in the Blickisdorp community next to the Cape Town International Airport. We are also joined by young people who have also benefited from AXA's partnership in a project called Goodbye Malaria. I'm also joined by students from my 2 former schools, as well as one from one of the schools for farm workers in Howick. They are sitting up there, the 3 of them. Sukman Bantaba Banbon. We are also joined, these interventions will ensure that our country has adequate and highly skilled aviation professionals who are available to operate, manage, and maintain our air transport system with distinction. I'm particularly concerned about the fact that pilot training, for instance, continues to remain a responsibility of very expensive private academies. We will need to sort this out. As members are aware, there's been some negative media reporting about the airline licensing councils with allegations of corruption and other malfeasance. I'm also reviewing a report on irregularities already compiled for the department. I wish to assure the public that this matter is receiving my urgent attention. I'm reviewing the process of appointment of the 2 airline licensing councils, as well as looking into all other allegations, and an announcement will be made in due course. The Deputy Minister is going to deal with our maritime policies and developments there, so I won't go into that. Honorable members, the budget allocation for the department in the financial year 2018-19 is 68.6 billion and includes allocations to provinces, municipalities, state-owned companies. The details are indeed in my speech. With all hands on deck and committed to conduct our business in a more effective way, we shall sustain the process of our 4th administration and take it to higher levels. I wish to thank the Honorable President Ramaphosa for his support, the Deputy President, my cabinet colleagues, Deputy Minister Chikunga, MECs, the Chairperson and members of the Portfolio Committee on Transport, as well as my wife and my family. Indoda engakwazi ukubomba ngumkayo uMamkhawula kuyona indoda leyo. Gratitude also goes to my staff in the ministry and to the acting DG, Mr. Mkonyama, and the entire executive management committee of the department, the boards, and executives of our entities, and everybody who contributed towards the achievement of our mandate as the department. Siyabonga sibe sithi ke sizwelana nabantu basePalestine njengoba behlukunyezwa kangaka nje. Sinabo kuze kufike ekugcineni la beyokhululeka khona. Siyabonga.
Siyabonga Ngqongqoshe. Honorable Magazi.
Ke a leboga modulasetulo wa gompieno le tona la tsa dipalangwa Dr. Blade Nzimande, motlatsa letona Mme Chikunga, maloko a tlotlegang a ntlo e ya theramelao, Director General o a tshwereng mokobobo mo Department ya Transport, board members, le di CEOs tsa di entities, baeng ba rona ba ba tlotlegang ke a le dumedisa. This is a new dawn of creating infrastructure towards radical socio-economic transformation. The theories and approaches of the developmental state emphasizes that the state's capacity to promote its developmental efforts, its capacity to organize around appropriate institutions and organizations, and the policies should be enhanced for it to can be able to say it's a developmental state. It is upon this analogy that the ANC's 54th conference expressed the need for government to use infrastructure as a leverage for a developmental approach to create jobs, to alleviate poverty, but at the center to make sure that assets are being created. This, we believe, as the ANC, should be people-centered and be people-driven. Indeed, infrastructure development can effectively contribute towards the achievement of a developmental state by stimulating the growth of the economy and reducing inequalities while simultaneously addressing the social needs of the majority of the people. The ANC's Ready to Govern discussion document illustrates the magnitude of the deep-rooted disparities made by the apartheid through non-investment in the rural areas and in the peripheries of our countryside. These are the areas where the majorities of our masses resides. Ba tlogeleng ba Concord. President ba boleletse gore ba ireng. These are the areas where the majorities of our masses are residing. And the conditions, it be of roads, it be of other related infrastructures, today we can say are visibly improved.
On a point of order, House Chair.
Transport sector,
Honorable Makatsi, as a point of order.
I see it, sorry, just by the way, I see your purple looks very DA blue on the screen. Looks lovely. I rise in terms of Rule 92, House Chair. If the honourable member, I'm not going to point, but the honourable member knows who he is, who keeps saying shut up. No. Now, the president has set a precedent in this way, but we know it's unparliamentary. If you can ask him to please stop saying that, House Chair. Thank you.
Honourable member, I'm not sure who's the member. Oh, Khatebe. Honourable Khatebe, don't do that. It's unparliamentary. Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. The transport sector has been highlighted in the Republic of South Africa that it will be able to contribute to South Africa's competitiveness in the global market. It is regarded as a crucial engine for economic growth and social development. As we are unveiling different plans as outlined by the minister, improving the roads, rail, airways, and other related transport issues, we should be able to take cognizance of the fact that we are contributing towards our competitiveness in the global arena. Through Hamba Sonke project, a labor-intensive maintenance program, several projects have been upgraded in different provinces. We are saying to the provinces that you can be able to be upbeat and make sure that the lives of the people are better. Honorable Chairperson of today, road infrastructure, in particular access roads, are better than what it was 24 years ago. Today is better than yesterday. Tomorrow will be better than today. The improvement of Moloto Road needs to be applauded because this has been a killer road. GFIP is an issue, Minister, that needs to be resolved as speedily as is possible because it impacts negatively on SANRAL work. We are sure that as we deal with these discussions, we will be taking into cognizance the fact that SANRAL needs to work and work very fast. There's a need for provinces and municipality to also work and make sure that the resources as given for road maintenance and development are efficiently used. The department over the years has had challenges of shortage of staff, especially where they are needed the most. Several of the vacancies have been filled, and this is a milestone that needs to be celebrated. This applies to the entities which actually has seen challenges in governance, and this has drastically affected the entities. I'm proud because the minister has already filled several of the posts, and our boards will start to do work in earnest. Leadership in PRASA has been found wanting, Minister, and these are the things that we cannot talk about as the African National Congress. We believe that the new board should be able to, as speedily as possible, bring the annual report to Parliament. We believe that the new board should, as speedily as possible, be able to give us their corporate plan and their APP, because we can only say the budget for PRASA will be correct if those are adhered to. Nonetheless, we believe that the new board is up to the task. The challenge that is in PRASA, we need to talk and say, batho ba rona ba sotlega. Diterene di fitla lata, diterene ga di fitli. Ene se dira gore le economy ya rona e wele ko tlase ka ntlha gore batho ba kubiwa ditirong, batho ga ba kgone gore ba fitlhelele dipetlele, ba fitlhelele dikolo ka gore bana ba dikolo ba latelwa ke se leng gore re PRASA new board ga e fitla anke e mekamekane le sona gore at least batho ba kgone gore ba fitlhe. The Reconstruction and Development Program has indicated that we need to have safe, reliable, and affordable transport, public transport. And this, we believe that is what PRASA has been doing all the years, but they can do better in making sure that there's a number and a sizable number of trains that are operational. In order to provide affordable, sustainable solution, the ANC-led government has elevated integrated transport, public transport network as the anchor, and integrated public network transport grants funding as is being used, should be used with the courtesy and the care. Tsela eo BRT, it's a young momulaong ka teng, e busula ka ntlha ya gore di-taxi di ntshiwa mo ditseleng gore di sutelele di-bus. Seo ga se tlhokege because re ka se bue ra re integrated transport network e le gore re ntsha di-transport network, di-public transport tse ding mo tseleng. Mo kapa mo, my city e dirisa madi a le mantsi for the consultant. Ko George, ba tusitse di-taxi, ba tsenya Go George mo ditseleng. Ba re batho ba rona ba tla tshela yang ga e le gore bona ba tshwanetse gore ba tusiwe ba beele ka mothoko e le gore ba tshwanetse gore ba tsenye dita ga go a siama, Minister. This policy, it's a policy which is saying integrated transport network, and therefore we cannot be able to discriminate and remove others. Ko tshwane le gona go na le mathata. Batho ba tlhokomela ba sotlega ka ntlha ya gore ko bo Hammanskraal ka ntlha ya bo Mpumalanga dinamelwa ga di fitlhe ka ntlha ya gore re leka gore tsentsa bus rapid transport mo tseleng a re lebelleng sentle gore kgone gore e direle batho ba rona. Public transport has really improved in the rural areas, and this we need to really applaud because economic activities in the rural areas are shining. Social access is better than yesterday. Gompieno go botoka go feta maabane. Ka moso go tla nna botoka go feta gompieno.
Please conclude, honorable member.
Ke batla gore ga ke bua kere we live with hope as she battles to remake herself South Africa will be a microcosm of the new world that is striving to be born. These are the words of the Tata Nelson Mandela. As we remember this giant, and as we celebrate his centenary, South Africa is remaking herself. And the microcosm in roads, in rail, in aviation, in marine, is in public transport, is unfolding. Yes, this is the centenary of the two giants. Mama Sisulu, a phenomenal woman, a woman of substance. Let me quote Maya Angelou when she said, "Try to be a rainbow in someone's cloud." Messi Sulu, mutshwara thipa ka mo bogaleng. Ke ena re ka mmuang ra re ke ena molalatladi mo gare ga rona. Mooki wa tlhwatlhwa. Modirela loago wa tlhwatlhwa. Morutabana, moetapele, o e leng gore ba botlhe re tshwanetse gore re latelle metlhala ya gage e re bontshitseng. Ka nnete, Afrika Borwa le basadi ba Afrika Borwa ra tshwanna ke gore re leboge gore re nnile le baetapele ba ba tlhwatlhwa. Aviation in South Africa is doing very well, and we need to applaud all the stakeholders in aviation because they shine the light. It be in Brazil, it be in...
Thank you, Honorable Member. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairperson. As the African National Congress, we support Vote 35. Thank you very much.
Honorable De Freitas. Honorable De Freitas. Just press a button.
Hope I haven't lost time there. Thank you, House Chair. We welcome yet another Transport Minister. We can only hope that Honourable Minister Nzimbandi will do better than his predecessor, and that shouldn't be too difficult, Minister. And based on your speech, it certainly sounds so. As stated last year and the year before, the Democratic Alliance is supportive of any initiative that will get South Africa moving literally and figuratively. And certainly transport can do so literally and in real terms. It's the one portfolio that can move people closer and mitigate the bad apartheid spatial planning that we're lumped with. And using real opportunities that people can freely and fairly be able to move around without any hindrance. The Portfolio Committee's report, in fact, takes transport a step further when it discusses fair universal access, which aims at enabling all citizens to reach their destination using not only the traditional transport modalities, but other means, including bicycles, wheelchairs, and even walking. The Portfolio Committee also expressed, and I see also expressed by the committee chair, its concern about SANRAL's finances as the Gauteng Freeway Improvement Project, or e-tolls, continues to cripple this entity. SANRAL needs to start facing this issue head-on and listen to the people of Gauteng. The entire e-toll scheme needs to be either scrapped or funded differently so that the financial burden is not left with the already overstretched taxpayer. Now more than ever, the Minister must develop a new toll road policy. Experience shows us that a great contributor to the negative public sentiment against e-tolls in Gauteng was the deeply lacking public participation process. Until the e-tolls project is scrapped, we need to ensure that any future e-toll projects do not repeat these bad public participation practices. My private member's bill, recently tabled, aims at ensuring that mayors and premiers affected by future e-toll projects are properly consulted. It also protects motorists who wish to use alternative roads instead of the expensive toll roads, giving them a diversity of options. I hope that in the end of this process, my bill will be passed and supported. As in previous years, PRASA continues to deliver corruption, while millions of South Africans suffer daily by using outdated and maladministered coaches. The Public Protector's derailed report detailed a total failure of delivery and governance, as well as widespread corruption within PRASA. 216 contracts, all with a value of over 10 million rand, are being investigated by the National Treasury. But we remain concerned about this, as written replies I received only last month to questions I posed to the Minister indicate the following, and I quote, "The Treasury report was scrutinised by PRASA, and PRASA has responded to National Treasury, indicating some of the findings were inaccurate and needed to be reviewed. National Treasury has therefore undertaken a process to reappoint the relevant service providers to review the disputed findings, and once these service providers are appointed, a new review will take place and findings will be finalised." The reply indicates thus that the party that is being investigated, in this case PRASA, is questioning the findings. So now the player is questioning the referee. This is plain madness. To top this, the reply also indicates that PRASA is dictating to Treasury to appoint service providers to review the findings, possibly because it puts PRASA in a bad light. Added to this fact is that taxpayers' money will be used for more investigations. These replies alone demonstrate the Portfolios Committee's investigation into PRASA that starts next week couldn't have come at a better time. We are sick and tired of the continued PRASA cover-up. The first interim board continued its looting as soon as it took office. Questionable payments were made as directed by the previous interim board during their tenure, and this needs to be investigated. In the meantime, we'll watch with great interest the activities of the new board. South Africans need to be moved by rail, and this means when looking at PRASA modernisation project, all options should be considered, such as stated in the committee's report, the devolution of authority to regions. This must be an option as the modernisation project will not be able to meet its budgetary obligations and as it continues to spend more money on refurbishment, on vandalised and outdated coaches and infrastructure to ensure that services are run. It's time to consider the devolution of the rail function to cities that have capacity. The process needs to start to amalgamate Transnet and PRASA. Until these two SOEs become one, so that all assets are planned and used holistically, we'll never be able to harness the economic and growth potential and opportunities that rail brings to the nation. Minister, you need to help stop this tug-of-war between PRASA and its bullying big brother, Transnet. After the fanfare has settled about the Malotha Development Corridor, which I see the Chair also mentioned, this project is now progressing at a snail's pace. In particular, the rail portion of this project is practically non-existent. The Minister needs to kick some butt in this regard. To make matters worse, yes, I actually have. To make matters actually worse, the committee hasn't received yet the PRASA's annual report, and it's failed to submit a 2018 procurement plan to National Treasury. What an indictment on PRASA. Now, as I stated last year and every year, if there's one key performance indicator that demonstrates a transport minister's performance or non-performance, it's road safety statistics. Continuously every year, thousands continue to die every month, yet the same strategies have not yielded positive results, continue to be used year in and year out. Reports by the RTMC confirm studies that the major reasons for road deaths are tyre and brake-related issues, for example. Yet our road safety campaigns don't speak to these concerns. Instead, the same strategy of checking vehicles and driver's licenses continues as a campaign, yet different results are expected. The results are displayed in the recent Easter weekend, which showed an increase in deaths compared to last year. Until road safety campaigns are designed against proper empirical research, we will continue to see thousands of motorists and pedestrians die unnecessarily, costing the economy billions. Minister, we are supportive of you fulfilling your mandate, and you're here, and we're here to assist in whatever way we can. However, Minister, unlike your predecessor, you need to do the right thing. You actually need to be present and demonstrate the leadership by addressing the numerous transport issues that we face today. Until this is done, using the values of freedom, fairness, opportunity, and diversity, we will continue to see these problems within the transport sector. In the meantime, we continue to support you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. Honourable Noluchung.
Thank you, Chair. Let me take this opportunity and greet the Chair, the Minister, members of the Parliament, and all our visitors. For the last 24 years, the ANC has failed to use the power it has as the governing party to create a public transport system that is efficient and to reconfigure the spatial planning of the country and cities. But today, the EFF will use this platform to address the problem of public transport inaccessibility for those people with disabilities. While using public transport is a struggle for all South Africans, that struggle is nothing compared to that of people with disabilities who use mainstream public transport. The reality is that the most people who are disabled cannot afford private transport. They are then forced to use the mainstream public transport system because of their economic circumstances, and the majority of those people are black. Because of the inaccessibility of our public transport system for those with disabilities, simple things like going to the shop, visiting the doctor, going to school, and going to work are strenuous and time-consuming tasks, and this often worsens their health. It is already difficult for people who are disabled to access a train even when it might be relatively empty, but it is nearly impossible when trains are full and people rush to get spaces. This is because government has not given a serious thought to those with disabilities when it plans and implements public transport policies. Recently, this House debated the National Land Transport Amendment Bill, but no section or clause spoke extensively on accessibility of the public transport system for those with physical disabilities, and neither does this budget. Currently, you have category for special needs passengers in public transport policy and regulations. But the fact of the matter is that this is such a broad term that does little to assist those with disabilities. The challenges regarding access to public transport faced by those with disabilities on a daily basis are totally different from those faced by pregnant women. But they are both grouped together under special needs category. This must change, and there must be regulations in place that specifically cater for needs of those who are physically disabled. If you go through this budget, you will see that under the public transport program, there are 6 categories for budget allocation. They are transport regulation, transport industry development, transport oversight, transport administration, transport network, and rural and scholar transport. Rural and scholar transport received its own specific budget because of the unique factors and challenges linked to rural and scholar transport. But there are no unique challenges linked to public transport for people with disabilities. But this category does not have its own budget allocation. The only explanation for this is government ignorance, lack of care, and sensitivity. There must be a specific public transport budget allocation for those who are physically disabled. This will make public transport more user-friendly for people with disabilities. We cannot, as a society, allow complete disregard for the rights of people with disabilities to continue if we claim to be a society that cares and is compassionate about the well-being of our people. Until the Department of Transport makes funding available to address the transport challenges facing those with disabilities, we will continue to reject the budget of this department. The economic freedom fighters therefore reject budget vote 35 of the Department of Transport. Today, we are joined by members of the Transport Forum for People with Disabilities. The EFF welcomes you. Thank you.
Honorable House Chairperson, of particular concern in this budget is the increase in making use of consultant. Of particular concern in this budget is the increase in making use of consultant from 286 million to 348 million. The expectation capitalization of the capacitation of offices within this department must be addressed. We cannot be spending money from public purse we do not have. The failure of PRASA to submit their annual performance plans of 2016-2017 and 2017-2018 is an oversight failure of the department in not being able to monitor and evaluate this crucial entity. A firm hand is required to turn this around at this SOE and other entities reporting to the department. Chairperson, the IFP believes that one of the department's focuses should be on the issues of school transport, especially in rural areas where our children are walking long distance to schools. School transport should reside under the Department of Transport and not basic education, which does not have the capacity to ensure vehicle transportation our learners are safe.
Point of order, Slal.
Oh, okay, Honorable Stoll.
Sorry, Mondis. Uyang disturb angisezwa nakahle ukuthi honorable Sithole uthini.
Bani?
Abantu be-ANC nje abafundisekile. Busy nje, busy, bayasithuka benza yonke into. Yes.
Honorable Khawula. Kodwa ke nawe usuka nawe uphamise izandla kakhulu. Honorable members, please let us allow Honorable Stoll to continue. Honorable Khawula, nawe kodwa uyangena odakeni. Nawe uyangena odakeni. Honorable Stoll.
Honorable Chairperson, the IVE believes that one of the department focuses should be on the issues of school transport, especially in the rural areas, where our children are walking long distance to schools. School transport should reside under the Department of Transport and not basic education, which does not have the capacity to ensure vehicles transporting our learners are safe, road width, and are constantly monitored. Another area of concern is e-tolls, which administrations in Gauteng has not prioritized the scrapping of e-tolls. It is high time that our alternative resolution is found to e-tolls and that Premier provides tangible feedback on his recent engagement with the President and why he and the Minister Umpepetwa are singing the two different tunes. When will people of Gauteng finally knows where they stand with e-tolls? In terms of current road infrastructure project and safety on our roads, we need to ensure that low-cost engineering programs at high-risk hazardous locations are implemented. These involve elections of traffic rights, speed reductions by speed tables, rubber strip of building and pavement of barriers, and other remedial measures in all provinces and townships across the country. Chairperson, the TSC recapitalization project is a disaster. It does not address the needs of our tax commuters. Scrapping of this funding model and the failure to ensure adequate upgrade. New modified tax model should be used, are expensive, and the state needs to assist the tax industry better. We see where buses are on strike and trains are on strike, that the tax industry assists this country to go to work. In this interest of the government, the IFP will support this budget. Chairperson, Honorable Minister, kunomgwaqo osuka eSilutshana oya Kranskop 170 kilometers. Waqala wasuma endleleni kwathiwa kuphela imali. Mhlonishwa uNgqongqoshe sicela ungenelele. Kunomgwaqo futhi osuka eThekwini N2 ohamba oyothongathi. Umile isikhathi eside awusentshenzo. Sicela ungenelele Minister. The IFP do support this budget. Thank you.
Siyabonga. Honorable Stoll. Honorable Khau Kubisa.
Honorable Slal, angidlali manje. I'm serious.
Honorable Khawula.
Ngifuna ukwazi ukuthi yini eyenza ukuthi makungena ukomisa bahleke laba. Okwesibili engifuna ukubuza kuwena Sihlalo. Yiphi rule ethi
mina ngena odakeni akwana ungiphoxa lo ngicela ukusule khona manje masidraw lento manje uthi ngoba ngani noma ushona uthi udaka yibo labantu lana bakini udaka.
Honorable Chair, I did not laugh. I can't be implicated in the laughing.
Ngibiza noma Rashida bosichotho bakho.
I can't, Honorable Chair, I can't be implicated in the laughing. I never laughed.
Honorable members, let us again take the platform. Honorable Kaula. Maslalele ngapha xa so ikhuluma le yakho egcineni. Asibazi bahleka.
Honorable, kuvumelekile umuntu abheme before angene lana. Funa ngakabe bheka ukuthi ababhemani before bangene la. Ngeke abantu sihleli bayafa insini kukudelela lokho abakwenzayo.
Honorable Kaula. Honorable Kaula masiqhubeke ngomsebenzi. Honorable Khubisa.
Angibonga kakhulu sihlalo. Sicela ukuba ke sicela ukubingelela ngqongqoshe nesekela lakho nama members nama guests ethu kwi gallery. Ngicela udedele sihlalo ongabhemile athi ukukhuluma kancane. Minister, there are few things that we want to put to the fore. We understand that this is a very important department, and to ensure that there is safety in this department, and also to ensure that it contributes to economic development and also poverty alleviation, dealing with all the inequalities of the past. I think these things need to be mentioned in a very basic way, Minister, because some of the things we observe, and there's a lot of money that is given to the budget, but it's not enough when we consider some of the issues that we need to attend to. For instance, we know that provinces get about 23 billion, the agencies about 16 billion, and the public corporation and private enterprise 18.8 billion. And the 12 entities of the department, we should be performing optimally to ensure that there is service delivery. You know, transport like water and electricity, it's very crucial and next to the hearts of the people. And we have to ensure that in line with the white paper, our infrastructure and rail is up to standard. Our pipes, our roads, airports, harbors, freight, etc., they are all good. And we also understand that this is a national, provincial, and also local competence. And your department, Honorable Minister, does oversight over all these spheres. But let me start with the fact that, Minister, the war that is going on within the industry is not acceptable. For instance, if one were to make an example here in Deft and Inyanga Association, there is no reason why our taxi owners cannot sit down and discuss these issues, because at the end of the day, it's the life of the people that is involved. When we hear that the Inyanga and the Deft cannot agree on one route they are using, but why don't they sit down and discuss? Because at the end of the day, it is the life of the people that is lost. And these are the matters, Minister, that we need to attend to, because we don't want to see people dying. This is an industry that should be executing service delivery, ensuring that we alleviate poverty, ensuring the economic development. Hence, there must be safety in the industry. So it worries us, for instance, if, for instance, in KwaZulu-Natal, we hear that some leaders, notable leaders, drivers, and also owners are dying every day. Why should they die? Why kube nempi phakathi komzila waseStenga umzila kwamaphumulo bengakwazi ukuhlala phansi baxoxe into zabo ngoba lokho kudala ukuthi kube nabafelokazi kube nezintandana. Yilezi izinto ke esikhala ngazo mhlonisho ukuthi kuningi okusadinga kulungiswa. Siqonda futhi nokuthi eminye imigwaqo yethu mihle kodwa eminye ayilungile. For instance, kukhona umgwaqo engeke ngawubona ngqongqoshe ongasezinkwazi nasedanela. Mncane mngaka kodwa uya ulimala sekuphele inyanga ngenyanga lo mgwaqo awukhandeki. Well, it may not be a national road, but because the province is also playing its competence on the roads, I don't know why one small short road cannot be repaired for a long time. Enye into esizwa ngqongqoshe ukuthi material that is supposed to repair the roads is taken away. Fraud, corruption, as a result, ugcine kungasakhandwanga umgwaqo noma ube poor because people are taking the material away. These are the matters that are matters of concern that must be attended to. And ngqongqoshe le issue yamabhasi ukuthi kube ne-strike eside kungahlala phansi kugcine sekudutshulwa nabagibeli zonke lezi zinto kufanele zi-attende ukuze imbono sikwazi ukuyilungisa ngoba ngeke sivume ukuthi abantu bafe. For instance, Minister, siyaqonda ukuthi usebenzise 10 billion ku-first quarter and ukuthi uconnecte abantu imigwaqo ibe right yonke into ku-public transport. Ngifuna ukudlula, Minister, ukuthi i-issue iskola transport policy learning net upgrade and Department of Education akulungiswe ngoba abantu bayafa, ingane zethu ziyafa, kulungiswe ngokukhulu ukusheshsha. Lezi nesifuna ukuyibeka ngqongqoshe, we support the budget. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Deputy Minister of Transport.
Okay, I'm sorry. Honorable House Chairperson, umphathiswa weziko lozokuthutha eSouth Africa, uDokotela Blade Nzimande, abaphathiswa bamaphondo bezokuthutha, amalungu endlu ahloniphekile, acting DG and transport staff, our guests in the gallery, fellow South Africans. In his State of the Nation address, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Honorable Cyril Ramaphosa, was emphatic about government's responsibility to continue improving the living conditions of the majority of South Africans, even more so in this year in which we celebrate the legacies of Mama Sisulu and Dr. Nelson Mandela. Our commitment to the people's contract to create work and fight poverty has been impressed upon us by our people's voices across the corners of our land to do things better. Sizwile, we have listened and we have heard. As Team Transport, we acknowledge the leadership of our President and assure our people of effective service delivery by saying to the President and our people, Tuma mina. Chairperson, Government's Outcome 5 mandates us to develop a skilled and capable workforce to support an inclusive growth path as articulated in the 2014-2019 Medium-Term Strategic Framework and the National Development Plan and NetMap. We have thus established a national multi-stakeholder structure which is tasked to align all our skills development initiatives as national and provincial Department of Transports, TITA, and state-owned companies. This exercise aims to ensure that the transport sector training and skills development value chain maximally make use of available resources, streamlines all initiatives, get rid of duplication, addresses recruitment, intake and absorption of youth, and acts as a catalyst for the employment of the masses of unemployed young people. As part of this exercise, we will indeed convene a training and skills development focus meeting with the transport private sector. The department's budget for skills development stands at 20.9 million rand for the 2018-19 financial year. Chairperson, historically, the transport sector for the longest time has been discriminating on most of its profession on the grounds of class, gender, and race. The minuscule transformation progress registered in the aviation sector is a deliberate, structural, and systematically embedded resistance by gatekeepers who are non-developmental and anti-transformation in their outlook. The current status quo reflects that we have 20,054 pilots in South Africa. Of these, 18,113, which is 90.6% are whites, 66.3% are black, 1.9% are Indian, and 1.2% are coloreds. In respect of aircraft engineers, we have 1,759. Of those, 86% are whites, 11% are Africans, 2% Indians, and 1% coloreds. Even on cabin crew, we have 19,922, but of these, 89.72% are whites, 7% are Africans, 1.9% are Indians, and 1.2% are coloreds. These disparities are also reflective in all other aviation professions, including the pass rate at the aviation private academies. In aviation, the issue of class, gender, and race discrimination is still very much prevalent. We will thus unapologetically take drastic measures to foster the transformation agenda, eradicate gatekeeping and bottlenecks by eliminating the reliance on privately owned aviation academies, which have a record of discriminating state-funded African students while promoting and qualifying all their white counterparts. Chairperson, we will ensure that transformation in terms of gender and equity is realized, because the Department of Transport, together with its state-owned companies, remain the constitutional custodian of the rights of the people of South Africa in the transport sector. Among the aviation transformation initiatives, South African Civil Aviation Authority, SACA, in partnership with INEC, a French National Aviation Academy, has a scheme which currently funds 32 PRASAs, 15 of whom are females. A sum of 10 million rand has been allocated for the next intake in September 2018. Of course, our ATNS Academy will continue with the training of air traffic controllers. In our midst, we have been graced by the presence of the following learners: Mr. Tumeko Scott, who is a learner pilot; Boingotlo Motsibi, who is an aeronautical engineering student. I like that one. Mudzunga Mazanga, who is a learner pilot. Can they please rise so that we can see them, wherever they are? Thank you. As the transport team, we are committed to the women and the youth empowerment. For instance, the Road Traffic Infringement Agency has signed a memorandum of understanding with SANWIT on enterprise development programs on the ARTO program. The investment value by the RTIA is projected at 180 million rand over 3 years. Responding to the 2016-39 ICAO Assembly Resolution A3930 and on ICAO Gender Equality Program, the SACA, in cooperation with the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, and in collaboration with the UN Women and UNESCO, will be hosting the world's first Global Aviation Gender Summit in Cape Town during this financial year. Honorable members, our staff in the transport sector is our critical human capital and therefore assets to the country. As a sector, we are cognizant of the prevailing health challenges. To this end, the National Department of Transport has concluded a transport sector HIV, AIDS, TB, and STI strategy. Employee health and wellness budget is standing at 1.8 million rand. In this regard, allow me, honorable members, to commend the excellent work done by the employee wellness as well as the capacity building units of the Department of Transport. I wish they were here. Ladies and gentlemen, the Department of Transport continues to make a difference in the lives of many learners in rural and farmland areas through our Shovakalula initiative, which supply learners with non-motorized mobility in the form of bicycles. We will procure a further 9,300 bicycles for 2018-21 period at a cost of about 20 million rand. Esteemed guests, in preparation for the national rollout of ARTO and to ensure that we have educated and empowered road user community in its marketing, education, and awareness campaign, RTIA has allocated 150 million rand in the current financial year. The Railway Safety Regulator continues in its directive to provide rail safety, and for the 2018-19 financial year will receive 286 million rand towards the implementation of its mandate, which will include greater professionalization, safety personnel, and sophistication of equipment. Our aviation state-owned entities continue to grow in stature throughout the world. AXA, for instance, have recently concluded several memoranda of understanding with airport authorities in sub-Saharan Africa for collaborating on and providing airport services. The airport authorities with which MOUs were concluded include Liberia Airports Authority, Cameroon Civil Aviation Authority, and Namibia Airport Company. Our air traffic navigation services has unlocked the value chain in its capital expenditure acquisition process. In order to hit the call for localization and extensive local industrialization, the company continues to encourage partnerships between international original equipment manufacturers and emerging local companies for skills transfer and enterprise development. The introduction of local enterprises into the CAPEX value chain will result in less reliance on international original equipment manufacturers for the upkeep of aviation infrastructure. In order to continue with the development and application of technologies for safer skies, the ATNS has allocated a 1.7 billion rand in the 2018-19 financial year. Ladies and gentlemen, in the last budget debate of 2017, we announced to this House that we were gearing up to contest for a council seat at the International Maritime Organization, IMO, under paragraph C. We are most honored to report that South Africa, represented by the National Department of Transport, retained its IMO council seat. We would like to thank the Portfolio Committee on Transport and, of course, the Cabinet for their unwavering support. On Operation Pakistan Ocean's economy in the transport and manufacturing category, to date, we have a 6.9 billion rand investment and have created 4,507 jobs. Chairperson, to respond to the implementation of the cabotage chapter of the Comprehensive Maritime Policy, we now have a 100% female black-owned company with a specific focus on the energy sector called Semona, which has partnered with Hubs Holdings, a private investment company with a strong presence in Africa and interest in oil and gas, marine, trading, and real estate. The second company is Mnambiti Shipping, a 100% black-owned company which is in the process of purchasing a chemical tanker vessel with the aim of registering and flagging the vessel locally. And this will increase the number of registered vessels and will be the first 100% black-owned South African registered vessel. Fellow South African port stakeholders have traditionally complained about the historically high pricing of container and vehicle export cargo dues as compared to low export cargo dues for raw materials such as coal. The ports regulator's tariff strategy for implementation over the next 10 years addresses the rebalancing of tariffs towards more cost-effective prices. Over the past 5 years, the ports regulator has announced below inflation overall increases in favor of reducing the cost of living to South Africans and the cost of doing business with international markets. Chairperson, esteemed guest, in the last budget debate, we promised to come back and report to this House on the outcomes of the ICAO's Universal Safety Audit for our civil aviation program. Today, we are proud to mention that we excelled in the audit. The results revealed that South Africa's effective implementation rating has increased from 83.83% in 2013 to the current 87.39%. This rating is significantly higher than the world average of 60% and positions South Africa as number 1 in Africa and number 31 globally. Remember, honorable members, that if we had failed this audit, it would have meant that South Africa would be locked out of the world's aviation space and no major international airline would have wanted to fly to South Africa. As I conclude, I wish to officially welcome and thank the Honorable Minister and his office for the provision of an amicable and very conducive working environment. I would also want to thank the MECs of transport in provinces, thank the Office of the Deputy Minister, the Portfolio Committee Chairperson and members, and extend my appreciation to the acting DG and the staff of the Department of Transport and chairs, and chairpersons and CEOs of our state-owned companies for their support. Together, we move South Africa forward. To our people, we say, Sizwile, we have listened and we have heard. We are coming, echoing the marching orders to Mamina.
Thank you very much, Honorable DM. Thank you very much, Honorable Filtani.
Failure by governments to appropriate meaningful budget for tax recapitalization program, thus which results in taxi operators having to get rid of their old and sometimes unroadworthy vehicles, remains a sore point, both for the operators as well as the commuters. Taxi operators are forced to go, not opt, to commercial banks for full funding for their new vehicles.
Honorable Filtani. Can I disturb you for a moment?
No,
Yes,
Chair,
Honorable
I want
Member.
to raise in a point of order. Honorable Filtani must be informed of the information that is raising. The department is always allocating enough money
Honorable
for
Member.
the capital.
Honorable Member,
budget.
Honorable Filtana is debating. There is a point of debate. You can't do that. You know very well. You may continue, Honorable Filtana. Continue, Honorable Filtana.
This dents their operating capital as much as it minimizes their profits. This information comes from the committee report. Commuters, on the other hand, are forced to ride on extremely unsafe vehicles daily to work. The fact that there are no timelines for the finalization of this project, whilst this budget keeps on being diverted to other items, is a clear indication that the current government is not prioritizing the daily commuters' lives. This happens to be one simple sphere of this industry in which the majority of voters can operate easily because it requires less skills. Honorable Minister, we appreciate your admission when you made your policy statement that this matter is receiving attention, and we hope that an appropriate budget will be made available so that this matter gets attention soon. On legislation, yet another department is lagging way behind on necessary legislation. The absence of appropriate legislation creates both a strategic and an operational gap in any establishment. A strategy without legal compliance can easily be failed. Equally, an implementation plan which is not legally sound can, at worst, entrap the implementer with costly legal consequences, or at best, inhibit operations. Sandra, N2 Wild Coast is intended and can only achieve one thing, and that is to take away business from the people of Transkei. Simple. Today, I'm happy that the Wild Coast in the Eastern Cape has been abandoned, at least for now. It was never going to benefit the poor citizens on the eastern side of the Eastern Cape, except during construction. Rather, Honorable Minister, government should focus on improving the ever-poor road network that permeates that part of the country. N2 entering Butterworth from the Mthatha side urgently needs widening, Honorable Minister. I hope you will respond to this. Scholar transport. It is UDM's plea that the department finds a more sustainable solution to this challenge. Time and time again, we hear stories of scholars who cannot access their constitutional right, education, all because government, albeit at provincial levels, is unable to provide safe and reliable transport to schools. This has serious long-term consequences for the kids, as their chances of securing good jobs depends on the level of education they get. The driving licenses. The scam of traffic officers and other employees of this department who continue to sell driving licenses to unqualified prospective drivers must come to an end soon. Failure to do so simply exposes other road users to life-threatening accidents. civil aviation safety. It's quite alarming that a South African express plane full of passengers was allowed to take off from the East London airport last week, only to have one of its engines cutting off in mid-air. What a scary experience for those passengers, more than 4 kilometers from the ground. Does this department have any competent staff? Have you abandoned taxi violence in Mthatha that the police are driving that process? We need answers.
Okay, honorable members, I now call upon Honorable Ramatlakane.
Thank you very much, Chairperson of the House. Chairperson, just to start, when I listened to Honorable Member from the EFF speaking about the special transport with special needs, we agree with that. There is no problem. In fact, when you speak about the integrated public transport, it caters for the needs of all the commuters in that particular transport. So there's no point of saying isolating one. That's what we want, and that's what we're working for. Chairperson and Minister, Deputy Ministers, and honorable members, guests in attendance, I rise to register the ANC support for the budget, transport budget 35. We do so because we understand and we are confident that the ANC, through its effective management and utilization of resources allocated through this budget, will continue to transform our society to change our life for all our people for the better. The President and the leadership of the ANC have made a strong commitment that public resources are used at all times for the purpose in which they are allocated for. Our movement, the ANC and the people of South Africa as a whole, are celebrating the centenary of Umama Albertina Nontsukela Sisulu, the mother of our nation who was born on the 21st of October 1918. Umama Sisulu was a giant of our liberation struggle, respected by all in a broader movement for freedom and democracy in the country and the world. A political activist and organizer, historic anti-pass law, led a struggle against inferior Bantu education, and next and most importantly, a leader who anti-apartheid the leader of the anti-apartheid resistance in South Africa. We know this leader and truly embodiment of the best value for our people: humility, selflessness, and courage. We salute Mama Sisulu in this centenary. Our movement, the ANC, and the masses of our people, democratic government led by the ANC, also celebrating the centenary of the birth of Tata Nelson Mandela, who was born on the 18th of July 1918, a leader who led the struggle from the front, a chief volunteers of 1952, Defiance Campaign, jailed and became the first black president in 1994. But Nelson Mandela, 1994, the one who captures the moment very importantly is Brenda Fassie. Late Brenda Fassie captures this well in a song. She called it My Black President. Yes. Our people salute this formidable leader, our struggle for today and tomorrow, and we will forever remember the sacrifices. The President Ramaphosa, during the SONA, captured the moment correctly when she said, and I quote, "Now it is the time for all of us to work together in honor of Nelson Mandela to build a new South Africa for all." He continued, we are one people committed to working together to find jobs for youth, to build factories and roads, houses and clinics, to prepare our children to work the world and change the progress, to build the cities and towns where family may be safe and productive and content. The President summarized this aptly by basically invoking the new dawn. The African National Congress, after 1994, started the process of making sure that there is a policies in this country. Policies that addresses the budget, that addresses the public transport and transport in general. I must say this at the onset, that we ANC knows what it means to accelerate the pace of social economic transformation, to enable those small industries, players who are at the periphery of public transport, to be at the center of public transport, which is important, transport being the heartbeat of the economy. This included taxi industry, small bus operators, small road builders, women in the maintenance of and cleaning the access road as part of economic transformation, social cohesion. The ANC is also supportive to assist and establish the taxi cooperatives that are today recognized as a legal entity. Only the ANC, the people's government, and with the experience of government, is capable of implementing this program. The ANC before 1994, as I already alluded, was dealing with the spatial disparities where black people in particular are put at the periphery of the city with a high cost in terms of public transport, whether they were African, colored, and Indians. Cities were far from cities. Langa and Bondeville are separated by railway line. Like the main road, the freeway separating both the people in that we call working class and middle class communities. 1994, as we can say, Reconstruction and Development Program, the ANC driven that program, ready under the view of ready to government, moving South Africa forward, introduced and implemented the policy of integrated transport and the modernization of public transport system. The National Conference of the ANC reaffirms these policies, including the NDP as, of course, a medium to long-term plans for government. Department of Transport, with a budget allocated to continue to champion the integrated transport solution, enhancing its own capacity and implementing diligently. Public transportation remains the heartbeat of any economy. Transportation facilitate the efficiency of safe environment of our people, good for produce. Transport is a key to achieving the sustainable growth and development. Efficient transport and a key competitive economy to reduce the cost of doing business, investment, transport, infrastructure, stimulate the new economy.
Start to wrap up,
Activities.
Only 1 minute remaining, wrap up.
Let me conclude, Chair. In conclusion, the President Ramaphosa, during when he articulated that it is time to work together. It means that the implementation of the NTTT recommendation that would make the task of integrated public transport a single integrated ticket system achievable. This will result in attainment of economic empowerment project as captured by the NTTT recommendation and transforming the taxi industry into a legal trading entities, cooperative in terms of the Act. ANC government has agreed to implement this strategic economic plans for the country. We support the budget. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ramatlakane. Honorable Alberts.
Thank you, Chairperson. Minister, Suid-Afrika het 'n geïntegreerde en veilige vervoerstelsel nodig. Die kostes verbonden aan alledaagse vervoer is heeltemal te duur. Dit beteken dat die regering 'n verpligting het om behoorlike en bekostigbare vervoerinfrastruktuur te skep. Daar is egter twee voorvereistes daarvoor.
Point of order, sir. Just a moment, Honorable Alberts. Yes, Honorable Makawula.
No, sihlalo ngokukhulu uhlonipha. Honorable lona fanele ukuthi mayedlula la angahamba because ufuna azi ukuthi uhambe emhlabeni wethu akasihloniphe
please, can you take your seat? May you carry on, Honorable Alberts?
Thank you, Chairperson.
Okay.
Die eerste voorvereiste, die besluit om infrastruktuur te skep moet rasioneel wees. Met ander woorde, dit moet werklik nodig wees. En tweedens, dit moet deur die publiek aanvaar word en regtens korrek hanteer word. Minister, in your department, there are 3 projects that have little public support, namely e-tolls, ARTO, and RABs, and at least 2 that are also patently unnecessary, e-toll and RABs. Firstly, the Gauteng e-toll system. It has now become clear that the system should never have been implemented in the first place. The cost for the highway upgrades could have been funded by ensuring savings to the annual irregular spend that has climbed from 30 billion to 70 billion rand plus per annum. Currently, Sunroll is mired in litigation with many road users. So many legal mistakes have been made that Sunroll's chances of winning actually looks grim. For instance, no standards for the e-toll instrumentation has to date been established, and there is no compliance with the Legal Metrology Act. Minister, it's better that you switch off the system rather sooner than later before you start losing court cases like Transnet in the Transnet pensioners scandal. Another system that has unfortunately failed so far is ARTO. ARTO is a good idea, but it failed dismally during its test phase in Gauteng. Road accidents and deaths did not decrease during this time. It actually increased. The system is therefore not ready to be implemented countrywide. The various issues with ARTO was highlighted by the 2 court cases in Fines for You versus RTIA and Fines for You versus JMPD. You must please go read those 2 judgments. In the one case, it was found that the representation officers are biased in that they would not adjudicate representations based on procedure. In another case, it was found that the police, Johannesburg Metro Police, actually usurped the powers of the RTIA. Another accident coming our way is the Road Accident Fund. The proposed Road Accident Fund benefit scheme will severely curtail the medical and financial assistance needed by claimants. The current system is not failing because it's inherently weak, but because it is supposed to fail and to fit the agenda of certain persons in the fund. So the current system is actually working, but it is being failed from the inside so that RABs can be implemented. But the problem with RABs is that it might save money in the short term, but in the long term, it will be at the expense of claimants themselves and open the government up to more litigation. The main problems identified are the following. Firstly, it will limit the funds made available to a person who will need lifetime care. Thank you, Chairperson. Secondly, the public health system will not be able to handle patients with care and rehabilitate them due to the poor service levels of the public health care system at the moment. Daarom vra as die minister dat u hierdie 3 aspekte hanteer. We will ask you to look at these three problems, to place your department on a healthy basis going forward. And also then it will enable you to make sure that you design an integrated transport system that will work for everybody in the country, especially the poor who cannot get to work without huge expenses. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Alberts. Honorable Mpanza.
Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Minister, Deputy Minister, Portfolio Committee Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, I hope Honorable Sisbongile Makaola is not going to disturb me. Ngoba uyimpintshi yami ngoba sisuka kude naye. The ANC-led government has been at the forefront in developing infrastructure which is conducive for economic stimulation in South Africa over the past 2 decades. The ANC has committed itself to reverse the spatial inequality, ensure safe, reliable, and effective modes of transport to contribute to economic development. The ANC policy document, Ready to Govern, put forward a framework for a long-term, multimodal land transport system and the development of a network of infrastructure facilities across the country. Since the Reconstruction and Development Program had recognized transport policy as depriving the majority of people of a say in transport matters, has also exposed commuters to fast walking distances and insecure rail travel, failed to regulate the Kumbi taxi industry adequately, largely ignored the country's outrageous road safety record. The ANC-led government is gradually improving transport industry to contribute immensely to the development of the country. Udaba lengqwalasinda yezokuthutha lubaluleke kakhulu lapha eMzansi.
Ngamhla sonke sayisukumela sayibeka eqhulwini lezinto ezingumgogodla wokuthuthukisa umnotho wezwe iyobe impela ngalelo langa isigcagcele esokeni. The safety of transport is paramount to the ANC-led government. It has introduced several regulators to ensure safe compliance and change of societal behavior towards approaching the use of transport system. We have a firm belief on Thomas Hobbes' assertion that, open quote, covenants without sweats are nothing but words. The government has since introduced several entities dealing with regulatory enforcement punitive measures on infringements and regulating transport system for a competitive business environment. The Road Traffic Infringement Agency, RTIA, is as a result of government trying to cap facilities in South African roads. This agency's primary mandate deals with administering the procedure to discourage the contravention of road traffic laws, to support the adjudication and enforce penalties, to undertake community education and community awareness programs in order to ensure that individuals understand their rights and options. RTI has introduced a bill called Administrative Adjudication of Road Traffic Offences Amendment Bill, ARTO, which seeks to promote road traffic quality by providing a system that is discouraging road traffic contraventions and facilitate the efficient adjudication of road traffic infringements. Due to the increase in number of negligence and fatalities on South African roads, the Act seeks to introduce a demerit system where the license of a driver and the owner of their vehicle could be suspended after committing certain number of infringements. RTIA is supporting the government call on job creation and poverty alleviation. It targets to employ youth, people with disability, and women to increase the staff for road safety campaign and ARTO services outlets aiming at changing people's attitudes towards road safety. In these centenary celebrations of the gallant martyrs, Mama Albertina Sisulu and Nelson Mandela, whom in their lives they always encourage regional cooperation for mutual benefit, it is worth noting the job done by the Cross-Border Road Transport Agency, CBT RTA. The agency became vital for regional integration and cooperation, business opportunities, and multilateral relations. In this context, it is in this context that the Department of Transport has mandated CBRTA to eliminate impediments, regulate competition, liberalize market access, eliminate operational constraints, and create regional partnership to empower cross-border road industry. The NDP expresses the view of regional cooperation as an integral part in development of our economy and Africa at large. It is in this context that the CBRTA has, with their counterparts, decided to repeal bilateral agreements and forge a single multilateral cross-border road transport agreement. The department is concerned about the amount of tension between Lesotho and Free State taxi associations. The ANC-led government seeks to forge cohesion between the two countries for mutual economic benefit. The current budget has enabled the agency to proceed with their program on industry development strategy, which will give a chance to small businesses in areas around border gates and empowerment of border town communities, not Transkei. This is very crucial for economic inclusivity in a country where inequality is rife. This intervention is welcome as it will give priority on youth, women, and people with disability to address the triple challenges which are bedeviling the country. Transport is the heartbeat of economic growth and social development. The Department of Transport is mandated to facilitate and enable reliable, economic, safe, comfortable, and accessible transport infrastructure and services to all of our people. It is imperative that the Rail Maintenance and Infrastructure Realignment at Rail Safety Regulator, SRR, should be given preference for the stimulation of economic growth and public good. Therefore, the RSR should be enabled to establish road shows, awareness on safety and new rail technologies, refurbishment of rail signals, and maintain boom gates on railways crossing to curb unnecessary incidents. Enye indaba umnyango ozoyibheka ngamehlo okhosi futhi uyibhekisise uyiphathisa kwezikhali zamantungwa eyokuthuthwa kwabantwana besikole ikakhulukazi omalume. Ngiyabonga sihlalo.
Siyabonga. Ngibiza umhlonipheki uHansinga.
House Chair, this 2018 occasion of the transport budget vote takes place against the backdrop of frequent leadership reshuffles. In transport, we have been marveled by the 9th combination between Minister and DG, which on average hardly exceeds 12 months in the last 9 years. These severe interruptions of management stability have significantly impacted on most entities, shifting over from financial steadiness and operational credibility to an increasing condition of risk to the national fiscus. The following comparisons in public transport could bear proof to this. In 2009, buses transported about 1.2 million people to work, and today, just over 1.4 million. In comparison, trains carried 2.7 million people in 2008, while trains today transport only 1.2 million people. In fact, PRASA lost nearly 60% of their clients in 20 years, mostly in the last 5 years. This, despite increasing population and millions being added to the workforce. The DA therefore recognizes the huge role which the minibus taxi industry has played in filling this obvious public transport gap. In fact, the minibus taxi industry can be regarded as one of the South African's economy's most underrated heroes. Being mindful of the importance which mobility can play as economic enabler and as catalyst towards overcoming the inequalities brought about by apartheid spatial planning, the DA would not have decreased public transport allocation as the ANC government currently does. Well, read your budget. And in terms of trains, we would focus on 3 simple aspects. We would make sure that train commuters get safe, on-time, and clean facilities. The growing belief amongst SOEs that they are not accountable to the state and that the PFMA is an optional requirement is something which the DA will not tolerate. In addition to the position which we hold of increasing public transport budget, instead of decreasing it as the ANC suggests, the DA will also increase road infrastructure budget and not decrease this, since delayed maintenance has a detrimental effect, severely adding to the backlog management challenges. Some research claim that as much as 60% of South Africa's 535,000 kilometer road network have potholes. And let me remind everyone of the deferred infrastructure maintenance, which makes fixing things later more expensive. Moreover, deferred plans, in fact, is a sincere debt burden on future generations. And let it be known that the DA-led government in the Western Cape is the only province where 100% of vehicle license fees are reinvested into roads. The ANC proposed budget cuts are therefore most worrying, and by extending this into subsequent years, a mindless expose of pure disregard for consequence. Acknowledging the current fiscal constraints, the DA will resort in the following measures to streamline some of the currently constrained transport budget features. We will immediately stop paying bonuses and ridiculous salaries to top management which are not substantiated by performance and value add to citizens. While many entities own property, the DA will make sure that these are used optimally and to the benefit of citizens and service delivery. Huge savings can be achieved by amalgamating all regulatory entities as one organ directly within the Department of Transport. Currently, many safety requirements are compromised due to the user regulatory arrangement.
Can you stop a little bit? There is a point of order. Yes, Honorable Member.
Can Honorable Nsinga take a question?
Yes,
Honourable Member,
definitely.
can you
As
take
soon
a
as I'm
question?
finished, you can email it to me as well.
You may
Huge
continue
savings.
then.
Huge savings can be achieved by amalgamating all regulatory entities as one organ directly within the Department of Transport. Currently, many safety requirements are compromised due to the user-regulator arrangement, which causes a bizarre relationship. Without hesitance, the DA will immediately amalgamate PRASA and Transnet to get rid of the current ridiculous cross-invoicing practice of over R1 billion between the two entities. This, while all rail infrastructure belongs to the same government and same state. While the additional 30 cents increase in the fuel levy announced by the Minister of Finance during this year's budget vote speech will provide the Road Accident Fund with an estimated additional 7 billion in revenue for the year, vehicle drivers cannot constantly pay for the price to solve issues of bad management. Employee costs in the Road Accident Fund doubled in 4 years amidst the fact that claims are processed by subcontractors like Medscheme and Forbes. In general, it is important to realize that each crisis adds to new complexities which could have been avoided if it wasn't for outdated solutions and silo-like thinking. Lastly, there should be no doubt that the current transport governance management in South Africa can be improved. Progress which can improve everyday life and provide opportunities. Necessary change which only the DA can bring and implement. Subsequently, and to your reaction, we cannot support
Unfortunately, your time
this
has
vote.
expired.
And I would now take the question.
Your time has expired, Honorable Member. Thank you very much.
No,
Your time has
you
expired.
don't have questions and you don't have solutions. But I thank you for trying.
Thank you so much. Honorable members, I am informed here that there are members here in this house who are in breach of rule number 64G by taking photos. Can we refrain from doing that? We know very well that we don't do that in the house, so I'll now call upon Honorable Nsibande to come to the podium.
Honorable ministers, honorable members, and our guests in the current. Mcini sihlalo ngizokucela ukuthi unginikeze imvume ukube ngiqondise kungqongqoshe. Ukuthi ngqongqoshe ngiyacela siyashweleza kakhulu ukuthi kubo bonke abashayeli emigwaqweni ikakhulukazi entshonalanga Kapa lapha eDelft nasempumalanga Kapa eMthatha ukuthi sithi maluju sekusikhathi sekukhumisana umlotha maluphela udlame lomatekisi. The African National Congress vision for the South African economy is guided by the Freedom Charter's call that the people shall share in the country's wealth. The ANC is committed to build a more equal society in which all can find decent work and enjoy sustainable livelihood. Despite the economic advance of the past 3 years of freedom and democracy, the legacy of colonialism and apartheid is still deeply entrenched in our society and in the structure of the South African economy. In order to revive the South African economy, sectoral growth plans must be developed for transport and integrated planning and services. There must also be programs to ensure increased investment in infrastructure, expanded research and development, and rapid improvement in education and training in order to equip our people to participate fully in the global economy's ongoing fourth industrial revolution. Our struggle has been a struggle of values, not determined by values and actions of our oppressors, but ourselves, and guided by our desire to live in peace and prosperity with all who live in our country. We have always sought a morality higher than that of our oppressors. It is for this reason we said our freedom did not only liberate ourselves from oppression, but it also liberated our oppressors from their action of oppressed. Mcini sihlalo. Yanganceda insimbi. Yaduma emadlebeni yathi the new dawn. Yaphinda futhi yathi thuma mina. Kwadidizela umzansi wonkana. Wakwamukela lokho ngokuthi siyavuma. Ngakolunye uhlangothi kunamacembi anganawo, ngakolunye uhlangothi kunamacembu anganayo umphambili, anganawo imuva. Ayinzuka skenje azifanela ncimishine amuba. Zolo lokho umholi we-DA umnumzana uMaimane ubezibiza ngo-Obama. Kodwa ke namuhla ngokuba sekusondele ukhetho useshaya ingwiji khwebu usezibiza nguMinnie Mandela. Ngithanda ukuyazisa i-DA ukuthi badukuza oswini bazohamba bazaze babambe utalagu angeke bawanuke amavote wethu. Kwazise belu ukuthi abantu abampisholo akusibona onodoli. South Africa is the one of the most culturally diverse countries in the world, which makes the business of politically quite complicated, making matters worse in the fact that it is also most unequal society in the world. Most DA MPs are white, middle class, and have no concerns in rural areas and townships. As a result, they are detached from people they seek to represent, and they don't get to know what makes elusive votes tick. White monopoly capital, poverty and inequality, racism, you are wonke lo talati ol wotwai olwafika no Jan van Riebeck. Neze fika mthwalo ezingondlebe zikhanya ilanga kusikela kwafika yena uJan van Riebeck kule ngabathi yakithi. Chairperson, among the achievement we have observed at Sanral is the existing N2 and M41 met at Combe, interchange north of Durban. The interchange connects Phoenix and Umhlanga with Durban and north coast of KZN. This is a huge infrastructure with the most high tech in the hemisphere. It is an intermodal system which has brought change in the lives of our people. It is the one-stop shop which saves people from traveling long distances as well as traveling costs. It has contributed immensely in traffic control. We must thank the ANC-led government for its continuously commitment on job creation and skills development, and its endless continuously support in bringing services closer to the people. Minister, We wish that such projects can be escalated to other provinces as well. The ANC-led government, when it took power in 1994, it was discovered that there are quite a number of atrocities with regard to the road accident fund. Therefore, Sexual Commission was commissioned to investigate about this fund. There were findings which implicated that corruption and theft is entrenched in the bloodstreams of the road accident fund. The commission discovered that there is an organized syndicate that includes doctors and lawyers. Also, there are doctors and lawyers who have signed a contract with an undisclosed period of years.
Please
All
conclude.
monies.
Please conclude.
Yes. Mqini sihlalo. Okunye sizocela ukuthi uminister kuloko ngoba kunabantu abavimbayo ukuthi kungachubeki ukuthi makube nama amendments ukuthi sichintshe lo mthetho ngoba bona bayazidamuzela kulesikhwama lesi serafu ngoba le mali ayifike ebantwini bafuna ivaye kubo. Thina u-ANC government uthi imali maye ebantwini ngoba kukhona isigameko esike senzekwa lapha eStellenbosch. Mr. Nana owathola ingozi kanye no Mr. Shosh wase-Switzerland. Mr. Shosh ubeka claima u4.5 billion rands, of which Mr. Shosh kuleyo mali leyo after udazisana ezinkantolo wathola imali engango5 million rands. 500 million rands. South Africa kaze kwenzeke kumuntu omnyama. Yilento bayifunayo ukuthi ke kumele bona babhadalwe ngemali ehlukene kunale ekubhadalwa wena abantu. Yingakho bangafuni ukuthi kube nama amendments kule bill. Ngiyabonga.
Siyabonga kakhulu umhloniphe. Minister, please conclude the debate.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and honorable members and our guests. Firstly, let me thank all those who supported this budget vote. Niyayibona indlela. Okwesibili, the second thing I want to say is that I agree with the fact that we need to eliminate violence and destruction in the transport sector. That's why also we call upon communities to protect the transport infrastructure, especially rail. Sicela abantu bakithi ukuthi abangashisi izitimela. Balimaze olayini bazitimela. Engifuna ukusho kunye ukuthi ke ngenhlanhla bakhona abaphathiswa la ozakwethu bama province. Ngicabanga ukuthi laba bakhulume ngemigwaqo wakwaZulu Natal ukhona umphathisi uKhawunda la. Nawe mama uKhawula uye kuyena ungazi ukuzohlupha mina ngomgwaqo waseNandi. Kanye nozakwethu umphathisi uTikane wase Eastern Cape. Honorable Chair and honorable members, I have directed the new board of PRASA to submit whatever is owed here in Parliament, whether it's an annual performance plan or whatever else is outstanding on their side. I will not rest until they do that. You must also hold them to account, as the portfolio committee in particular. You know, we also wish to say that our strategy for accessible transport has won a United Nations award in Sweden for having the best universally accessible transport strategy. Even now, all what we are doing, we must prioritize the disabled, our people with disabilities. Even if BRT ungena nje flat, so that we are able to deal with this. Bayathanda njalo abantu ukusijikijela ngamagabade. I-ANC yafika nomgomo ukuthi abantu bakithi abakhubazekile mababhekeleke. Yayingekho leyo nto ekuqaleni kunomini. Honorable De Freitas, thanks for some of the positive comments we have made. But we want to say there is no need to introduce a private member's bill on e-tolls. Because, as I have said, our strategy is that in dealing with this matter, we are going to deal with it in an inclusive manner and consult everybody who has an interest in it with the hope that we will arrive at a common understanding. The second thing which I must repeat, I said that the key question facing the country, which we are going to be leading in answering, how do we fund our road infrastructure going forward? That's the fundamental issue that we will actually need to deal with. On the bus strike, what we need to say is that we did intervene. We didn't watch. We did intervene. We spent hours and hours with the Minister of Labor listening to both sides and also trying to offer our own suggestions. But in the end, it was the two parties that were supposed to solve this. We are also disturbed about the fact that it took so long and the inconvenience to passengers, but it's done now. Wesihlalo, uma sengihlala phansi nje, uMam Khawula akakasiphendula ukuthi ubabona ngani abantu ababhemile. Umbona kanjani umuntu obhemile Mam Khawula? Ngiyabonga Sihlalo, ngiyabonga kuba bonke.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Thank you, Honorable Members, for your contribution. I want to thank our invited guests for coming. That really concluded the debate and the business of this mini plenary session. The mini plenary will now rise. Thank you very much.